Hello, you are watching Red Flag Radio. Enjoy watching.
Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be one of those guys posting here, but here I am, sitting in my car in some random grocery store parking lot, trying to make sense of my life. I've been married to my wife Jessica for almost 8 years. We met in college, did the whole whirlwind romance thing, and I honestly thought she was my person. For the most part, things were good. We both had decent jobs, no kids yet. We'd been waiting for the right time, according to her, and we just bought our first house together last year. I was proud of where we were, you know? But over the last few months, I started noticing shifts. She got super protective of her phone. Like, she used to leave it on the kitchen counter all the time, but now it's glued to her hand or flipped face down when she sets it down. She started going to girls' nights twice a week, even though she's never really been the social butterfly type. I chalked it up to stress, or maybe just her needing some space. I didn't want to be that paranoid, controlling husband. But the nagging feeling wouldn't go away. Something was off, and deep down, I think I already knew. It all started to click about 2 months ago. Jessica began dressing up way more for these so-called girls' nights. I'm talking full makeup, heels, perfume, the works. For someone who used to live in sweatpants and messy buns around the house, it was a sudden 180. I joked about it once. Wow, should I be jealous of these girls you're hanging out with? She laughed, but it was that fake laugh, the one where her eyes don't match the smile. Then came the constant texting. She'd be on her phone at all hours, screen turned away from me. If I walked into the room, she'd lock it immediately. I tried not to let my insecurities get the best of me, but the pit in my stomach grew. The biggest red flag? She suddenly became super critical of me. Out of nowhere, everything I did was wrong. How I loaded the dishwasher, the way I folded laundry, even how I breathed, apparently. It felt like she was trying to pick fights for no reason. That's when I started quietly paying closer attention. One Friday night, Jessica told me she was going out with Megan and the girls again. I didn't question it, just gave her the usual, have fun, be safe. But something in my gut screamed that this wasn't right. An hour later, I realized she'd left her iPad at home, synced to her phone. I'm not proud of what I did next, but curiosity or maybe instinct got the better of me. I opened up messages, telling myself I wouldn't find anything. What I saw made my blood run cold. Dozens of messages from a guy named Derek Hart. Flirty, explicit stuff. Plans for that night. Things like, "Can't wait to see you, babe. Same hotel." I remember just sitting there, numb, staring at the screen, my hands shaking. My first thought wasn't even anger. It was disbelief. Like, this couldn't be my Jessica. She was supposed to be my partner, my safe place. I didn't know what to do. Part of me wanted to drive straight to wherever she was, but another part of me froze. I just sat there in shock, waiting for her to come home. When Jessica came home that night, I was sitting on the couch, phone in hand, heart pounding so loud I swear she could hear it. She walked in all smiles, smelling like a mix of expensive perfume and cigarette smoke. She doesn't even smoke. "Hey babe, you still up?" she chirped, dropping her bag by the door. I just blurted out, "Who's Derek?" Her whole face changed in an instant. The fake smile disappeared, replaced by this irritated glare, like I was the one who'd done something wrong. "What? Who?" she said, trying to play dumb. "Don't. I saw the messages on your iPad." I shot back, my voice shaking. Instead of looking guilty, she rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, are you seriously snooping through my stuff? Derek's just a friend from work. We're working on a project together and you're blowing it way out of proportion." She grabbed her phone, scrolled through a couple of random texts, carefully avoiding the ones I'd seen, and then huffed, "You know what? I can't believe you don't trust me. I go out with friends for one night and suddenly I'm cheating?" She stormed off to the bedroom, leaving me on the couch, heartbroken and confused. I wanted to believe her so badly, but the messages were burned into my brain. The next few days were like living in some twisted alternate reality. Jessica acted like nothing had happened, but anytime I tried to bring up Derek, she'd turn it around on me. You're so paranoid. Do you have any idea how exhausting it is to be married to someone who doesn't trust you? She even started telling mutual friends that I was losing it, planting little seeds that I was being controlling. I ever heard her on the phone with her mom once, saying, "He's just insecure because I'm doing well at work." Meanwhile, her behavior got even weirder. More late nights, more secretive texts. One night I caught her sneaking into the bathroom at 2 a.m. to take a call. When I asked who it was, she mumbled something about a work emergency. I felt like I was going crazy. She made me question my own memory, my own instincts. Part of me wondered if maybe I was overreacting. But deep down, I knew the truth. I just didn't have hard proof yet. A week later, it all came crashing down. Jessica had another girls' night planned, and I decided I couldn't sit at home wondering anymore. I told her I had to stay late at work, kissed her on the cheek, and waited until she left. Then I followed her. My heart was in my throat the entire drive. She didn't go anywhere near Megan's apartment like she claimed. Instead, she drove across town to a hotel, a place that definitely wasn't the kind of spot you'd hang out with girlfriends. I parked a few cars away and watched as she got out, clearly nervous, scanning the parking lot. A few minutes later, a tall guy in a leather jacket walked up and kissed her, full on the mouth, no hesitation. I don't remember the drive home. I just remember gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles hurt, a mix of rage and heartbreak boiling in my chest. That night, I didn't sleep. I just lay there next to her while she pretended to be exhausted from a long night out, staring at the ceiling, realizing the woman I married didn't exist anymore. The next morning, I couldn't keep it in anymore. As soon as she stumbled into the kitchen, still half asleep, I hit her with it. "I followed you last night, Jessica. I saw you at the hotel with Derek." She froze, coffee mug halfway to her lips. For a split second, I saw a real panic flash across her face. Then she slammed the mug down and went on the offensive. "Oh my God, are you seriously following me? Do you hear yourself? That's psycho behavior." I laughed, an ugly, bitter laugh I didn't even recognize as my own. "You kissed him, Jess. Don't even try to deny it." She scoffed, folding her arms. "Oh my God, you're delusional. That was a friend comforting me. I had a rough night, and you wouldn't understand because you're never emotionally there for me." Every excuse felt like another knife in my chest. I laid out everything I knew. The texts, the calls, the lies. She just kept doubling down, turning everything around on me until I almost started questioning my own reality. Finally, I just said it. "You're cheating on me, and I'm done pretending otherwise." Her face hardened. "Fine, believe whatever you want. If you're going to be this insecure, maybe we shouldn't even be together." That hit me harder than the cheating itself. After that blow-up, the house turned into a war zone. Jessica barely spoke to me unless it was to throw out some snide remark. She started staying out even later, sometimes not coming home at all. When I asked where she was, she'd fire back with, "Why do you care? You're just going to accuse me anyway." I tried to get through to her, suggested counseling, even begged her to just tell me the truth so we could figure things out. She laughed in my face. "Counseling? For what? Your trust issues?" The worst part? She kept flaunting her lies. She'd post pictures on Instagram of girls' nights, but I noticed the timestamps didn't match when she'd been out. And anytime Derek's name came up in conversation, she'd smirk like she was in on some private joke. I started sleeping in the guest room just to get away from the tension. Every night, I'd stare at the ceiling, wondering how my marriage had turned into this nightmare so fast. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was how little she seemed to care, like I wasn't even worth the effort of a decent lie anymore. About a week later, I hit my limit. I'd been living like a ghost in my own house, and I needed undeniable proof, something even she couldn't weasel her way out of. One night, while Jessica was working late, her phone buzzed on the counter. She'd finally slipped up, no passcode change this time. My hands were shaking as I opened her messages, half hoping I wouldn't find anything. But there it was, a full-blown conversation with Derek. Photos I wish I could unsee. Plans for a weekend getaway to finally have uninterrupted time together. The worst part? There was a message where she trashed me. Don't worry about him, he's clueless. I'm just biding my time until I can figure out how to get the house in my name. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. It wasn't just an affair anymore. It was betrayal on a different level. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning her escape and trying to screw me over in the process. I sat there for hours, staring at the screen, the reality finally sinking in. There was no fixing this. The next morning, I couldn't even look at her. Jessica waltzed into the kitchen humming, completely oblivious that I'd read everything. She started in on me right away. You're taking the trash out wrong again. Seriously, how hard is it to follow simple instructions?
Something inside me just snapped. I pulled up the messages on her own phone and slid it across the table. You're done lying to me. I know everything, Jess. The photos, the trip, the plans to screw me over with the house, I've seen it all. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback ready. Her face drained of color. Then, like flipping a switch, the anger came back. You had no right to go through my phone. You're insane. I laughed. An ugly, bitter laugh I didn't even recognize as my own. You're worried about your privacy after what you've been doing? She grabbed her phone and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. No apology, no explanation, just gone. In that moment, I realized she wasn't coming back. Not really. Even if she did, I couldn't unsee who she really was. The next few days were a blur. Jessica stayed with friends, which I knew really meant Derek. The house felt hollow, like all the warmth had been sucked out with her. I'd wake up in the middle of the night reaching for her, then remember the truth and feel that gut punch all over again. I stopped eating. Couldn't focus at work. Every time my phone buzzed, I hoped it was her saying she was sorry, that she made a mistake, that we could fix this. But all I got were short, cold texts. I'll come by for my stuff soon. Don't make this harder than it has to be. I hated how much power she still had over me. Part of me wanted to beg her to come back, while the other part screamed that I deserved better. It was the lowest I'd ever felt. I couldn't even recognize the guy staring back at me in the mirror. Tired eyes, unshaven, carrying the weight of a betrayal I never saw coming. After about a week of wallowing, something shifted. I was sitting in the guest room, surrounded by her leftover clothes, staring at my phone, waiting for a message that wasn't coming, and I just snapped out of it. I reread that text where she told Derek she was biding her time until she got the house in her name, and something inside me hardened. This wasn't love. This wasn't a mistake. This was someone who had been actively trying to destroy me. I called the lawyer the next morning, explained everything. Her affair, the texts, her plan to screw me financially. He told me to start documenting everything. Screenshots, call logs, even the hotel incident if I could prove it. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was taking control. It wasn't about winning her back anymore. It was about protecting myself and cutting her out of my life for good. I changed the locks that same day, packed up her stuff in boxes, and left them in the garage. Sent her a simple text. Come get your things. We're done. Jessica showed up 2 days later, with Derek in tow, all smug smiles and whispered jokes like they were the ones in control. She barely acknowledged me, just started hauling her boxes to his car. At one point, she tried to pick a fight. You know, you're overreacting. If you weren't so boring, maybe this wouldn't have happened. I didn't even flinch. I'd rehearsed this moment in my head too many times. Take your stuff and go, Jess. We're done. For once, I saw the smirk falter. Maybe she expected me to break down or beg. But instead, I stood my ground, arms crossed, and watched her leave my life for good. That night, for the first time in months, I actually slept. No waiting for her to come home, no gnawing pit of anxiety in my stomach, just quiet. I started focusing on myself again, hit the gym, reconnected with friends I'd neglected, and even started therapy to untangle the mess she left behind. Slowly, the fog began to lift. The weeks after she left were weirdly liberating. The house, once suffocating, felt like mine again. I replaced the sheets, repainted the bedroom, even got rid of the couch where we had our biggest fights. I won't lie, some nights the loneliness crept in. I'd catch myself reaching for my phone to text her, only to remember who she really become. But the pain started dulling, replaced with a quiet sort of relief. Friends started inviting me out again, and I said yes for the first time in ages. I reconnected with my brother, went hiking, and even got a dog, a goofy golden retriever who forced me out of the house and, in a way, helped me heal. I still had to deal with the fallout, divorce paperwork, splitting finances, but with every step, I felt lighter. Jessica had lost her hold on me. Looking back now, it feels like I was living in someone else's life for those last few months of our marriage. I kept asking myself how I missed the signs, but the truth is, I didn't want to see them. I loved the version of Jessica I thought I had, not the person she really was. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this. When your gut tells you something's wrong, listen. Love shouldn't make you question your own sanity or make you feel like you're walking on eggshells. The betrayal hurt like hell, but it also set me free. I've got my own place now, a circle of friends who've stuck by me, and for the first time in a long time, I actually feel hopeful about the future. For anyone reading this who's in a similar spot, don't ignore the red flags, don't let someone gaslight you into doubting your own reality, and most importantly, don't stay where you're not respected. Leaving might hurt, but staying will destroy you.